Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of correlation and regression, we will be try to make sense of the increased volatility in major forex currency crosses involving the US dollar. After the Michigan Consumer Survey, we have seen this across the board decline in the US dollar. Most major currencies have gained against the US dollar, and I think this trend is likely to persist for next hour or so at the minimum, or even more than that. If we see the momentum continuing, we are likely to be in a position to exploit the situation to our advantage and think about the trading opportunities offered in the market. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the AUD USD chart with the each candle period defined at 5 minutes. I have added the Donchian channel of last 2 hours and 4 hours respectively to get us the price range for last 2 hours and 4 hours respectively, and to consider the average price prevailing over last 1 hour and 2 hour, we have this SMA 12 and SMA 24 in place, so we get to know how the volatility is affecting the underlying instrument and what is the average price as well as the range of the instrument. So now let's consider the price formation in a correlational term, so we can figure out which particular instrument is having the momentum on which side and in a best possible manner. If the underlying instrument is trading in a bullish manner, then the next question that arises is whether it is comparatively stronger or weaker in comparison to its peers. So we have to look for the trading situation in these circumstances where we can figure out these correlational aspects, and using this correlational method we can then try to go for a best possible combination. So this is the AUD USD chart. For AUD, the momentum was of consolidation. There was not much of an momentum in a unidirectional manner. Rather, we saw the AUD gaining substantial pips in Asian trading session, but for European trading session, it wasn't really able to sustain that momentum, and we saw some correction happening from these higher levels of almost more than half a percentage point. But now it is holding close to this support zone, closer to the immediate swing low of around 0.6680. It has been holding above that range, and after the release of US data, we saw this fresh spike in the various major currencies trading against the dollar. The dollar has gone on the back foot, dollar has declined. So I think that is likely to help the AUD hold these levels, and maybe in coming hours we might even see the AUD try to regain its earlier momentum, the bullish momentum which was quite evident in the Asian trading session, and further move beyond 0.67 are likely. So that possibility is there. But if we have to take a trade and that too on the buy side, then the next question is whether it is the AUD or we should be buying some other currencies, which particular currency is likely to gain in a best possible manner. And the first we will compare is its Asia Pacific peer, the NZD. For NZD, things have looked a lot better in comparison to the AUD. The NZD has been able to hold on to most of its gains. It was simply going sideways. It didn't really see much of an correction on these higher levels. Whereas for other major currencies, we saw strong correction from these higher levels. So that is a marked difference in comparison to the other major currencies. So I think that puts the NZD in a advantageous position, and we are likely to see the NZD hold this lead, and maybe in coming hours it might even cross above this 0.62599 high established just a while back. I'm expecting it to climb towards at the minimum, bare minimum 0.6270 or thereabout. And if things hold well, maybe it can even, maybe in next couple of hours, think about the levels of around 0.63. That is going to be our next target, as it is having strong bullish momentum on the hourly chart. Also, if we extend the time frame and consider its charting, the momentum is quite strong on the medium term as well. So for NCD, the things are quite bullish, and we can try to take the advantage of that. So here it is now not really far off from this immediate swing high established in the last week, and I think here we can expect the NZD to cross above this immediate swing high of 0.6264 and make a fresh swing high in coming hours. So that possibility is quite strong as of now, and even now the momentum is in favor of the bulls. We are seeing this spike in the NZD, and if it is able to hold around these levels, then we can expect the further gains to accrue in the NZD in coming hours. So that possibility is there. Now let us look at other major currencies like Euro and see which particular currency is having the best possible momentum. The euro is looking lot less bullish in comparison to the NZD. NZD we saw is not having much correction from its immediate highs, and even now it is having a lead in comparison to the other major currencies. For the euro, the correction was quite deep, so I would say that it is better for intraday perspective to target the NZD for any buy trade to be taken in today's session. Here, it is not that convincing for a new buy on dips trade. The NZD is looking like a lot better option with a better momentum. So in comparison to both the AUD as well as Euro, we have clear cut advantage with trading in the NZD. Yeah. Now let us go to the European currency GBP. GBP is looking a lot better in comparison to the AUD and Euro. Now the question is whether it is a better place than NZD. I don't really think so, because for NZD we have seen a formation of a fresh swing high. That is not really the case with the GBP is still below this prior high formed in the morning. So on that count, we have to place the NZD ahead of the GBP. If we simply compare this chart of the GBP and NZD, you can notice that this is a fresh swing high and new swing high, which is slightly higher in comparison to the prior swing high, but still a new high is a new high, which gives us a formation of higher highs and higher lows. So that puts the NZD in a advantageous position in comparison to the GBP. Also, GBP is also having better momentum in comparison to the AUD, and of course a lot better in comparison to the Euro. Now we will have to invert the scale and consider the currencies where the USD is the first currency, USD CAD, USD CHF, and USD JPY. The CAD seems to be the most bearish of all these major currencies which we have seen so far. It has been forming higher highs and higher lows in intraday session. So the outlook for the USD CAD is of inverse directional in comparison to the other major currencies which we saw earlier. The CAD is not bullish, whereas for other major currencies we have seen slight bullishness in their undertone. So now if we have to take a trade, and if you are of the view that dollar is not likely to lose much ground from the current levels, then you should keep an eye on USD CAD. We can expect the further gains in the USD CAD if it stabilizes and holds these levels and consolidates for next couple of hours around these levels immediate swing high, which it has crossed a while back. if it holds closer to these levels around and above 1.372, then we can be fairly confident of the possibility of USD CAD again stabilizing and trying to rise and make a fresh swing high. So that possibility is there. So the CAD is the currency where you can look for buying the dollar if you are not really convinced of the strength of the major currencies like NZD. NZD is the best place currency for buy trade against the US dollar. If you are of the view that the US dollar is likely to weaken further, then NZD is like a obvious choice, a good choice to work with. Let us see what's the story for USD For USD the momentum is now of late seems to be turning in favor of the CHF. Here it has been consolidating around these similar levels for last couple of hours, and as the things stand we can expect the consolidation to continue. So here I am not really expecting a big move in a USD CHF. Maybe we can expect it to decline toward this immediate swing low, which is there around 0.924. So that level might be retested in coming hours. And as of now, it is not having that good momentum in comparison to the USD CHF. We have the NZD, which is lot better placed. So this is also an instrument where you can try to take advantage of the range, but it is not having that strong momentum against the US dollar. It is more in line with its other European peer of euro. So we will have to trade cautiously in USD CHF as well. But for USD JPY, the things are really different. The JPY is the most bullish currency in today's session as well against the US dollar. It has been holding this title for last couple of sessions, so even today there is not much of a change in its strength in comparison to other major currencies. It is still holding the lead, and today is no different. And here also, the best instrument to go short in the US dollar is against the JPY. So if you feel like you can buy the JPY even on the current levels, and you can expect the move towards 131.5 at the minimum, and beyond that even the possibility of it declining towards 130 in coming sessions is quite strong. So if we compare it to the NZD, the things are not much different, but for the momentum, its volatility, the JPY is going to offer you many more pips in comparison to the NZD. NZD tends to be a lot less volatile. So if you prefer to trade with the more volatile instrument, then JPY is going to be a clear winner. And also in terms of its price formation of these lower lows and lower highs, it is having a slightly, its swing low is lower compared to the prior swing low. That is also the case for the NZD USD, which has made a fresh high. But in this difference, it is more pronounced in comparison to the NZD. So that is going to give us a lead in JPY. Now, before we wrap up the session, let us see what's the story for equity indices. The Dow Jones. Dow is in declining phase in today's session as well. Here, it has seen substantial decline from these higher levels in last couple of hours, and even now, I think we still have to keep looking for this trade in the range. Now it has reached in between levels, these middle levels, so we will have to trade cautiously. But on the current levels, you can expect this decline, this current trend in the intraday session to continue, and you can expect the dip towards immediate swing low, which is there around 31,600. That possibility is there. Whether to initiate a new trade or to wait for it to decline and stabilize on the lower levels, that is something we will have to decide. And to make things simpler for you, I can always compare it with other major equity indices like S&P 500 and Nasdaq to see how things are in a relative term. The S&P 500 has declined more than 1 percentage point from the immediate immediate swing high. If we compare it to the Dow, the decline is more pronounced for the S&P 500, but here there was not much of an correction retracement from these immediate swing low, while the S&P 500 saw slightly better retracement from these lower levels. So I think it is now compensating for this retracement. But more or less, we still have to prefer more volatile instrument, and that is going to be the S&P 500. So we have the better bearish momentum in S&P 500, but things are not that bearish for the Nasdaq, and here it had even gone to make a fresh swing high, but it couldn't really sustain the momentum, and it is now giving up all those gains, and seems to be now correcting from these higher levels. So in all these three equity indices, we saw that the S&P 500 is the most bearish one, and in comparison to the S&P 500, the Nasdaq is the least bearish one. It is now starting to correct from these higher levels, whereas for the S&P 500, the correction started quite earlier in the day, and it is now approaching these immediate swing lows. So for you, you will have to see how things stabilize in coming hours, and it is going to be a difficult scenario to initiate the trade on these current levels, as there has been substantial move already. So we saw that in these equity indices, the momentum is bearish at the moment, but it is more of a consolidation phase. It is not a strong trend on either side. Here you can even call it correction from the medium term outlook, but of course from the intraday perspective it is bearish. So in comparison to these S&P 500, if you want to go for a buy trade whenever things stabilize, the Nasdaq is going to be a best choice, better choice. And if you want to continue to trade in a bearish manner, then the S&P 500 is the answer. And before we wrap up, let us take a look on the currency segment, where we have these NZD USD and the JPY leading the charge against the US dollar. So that's my outlook for today's session of equity indices and currency crosses, where we saw the JPY as the most bullish currency against the US dollar, and the equity segment is seeing some correction from these higher levels, where the S&P 500 is leading decline, and Nasdaq is the lagging one. So keeping these in mind, you can look to trade and initiate the trades and try to take advantage of the market scenario. So that's all from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, do write to me in feedback, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. See you next time around with fresh analysis. Thank you all for joining in. Goodbye.